It's time for the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast.
Hey, your brackets might be very busted by now, but baseball is back. That's one thing to be happy about. We'll have all you need to know March Madness, MLB, plus some talk of the AAF, and so much more. Stay tuned.
I'm glad you connected. This is Dave Johnson, voice of the Washington Wizards. You have connected to the right place because you are listening to my man, Josh Kirby, on Sports Podcast.
Breaking news as of today for you folks. The Wizards fired their president, Ernie Grunfeld. Thank the Lord. And the Capitals' Michael Kempny tears his hamstring. Tore his hamstring, and he is out for 4 to 6 weeks. So highly unlikely for the playoffs, but we'll get into that in a later episode. As always, I'm Josh Kirby.
And I'm CJ Mantier.
Yes, sir, CJ. Thank you so much for being here, as always. Thanks to Rad 11 Chips for sponsoring this episode of the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast. Make sure you check out them out, Martin's Food Line and Giant, and make sure you check out their new salt and pepper chips. They're really good, and I actually got some the other day. They taste amazing. Have you ever tried their chips?
Yeah, my dad used to work for them.
Yes.
So we had an endless supply.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
I'm kind of sick of them, though. To be honest with you.
Yeah, and thanks to Dave Johnson for our intro, as always. Mild Swagger, PremiumBeat.com, as always, our music. And I think it's time we got started here. So, your week go well?
Yes, of
and
course.
Everything? Yeah, great. So, the days like today are where I'm really excited because all this sports news just dropped. Ernie Grunfeld and Michael Kempny, and it's like all this stuff, and like I can talk about this on the podcast, and it's great because there's more sports news. And what's even greater, the Nats and the Phillies play tonight in Nationals Park. And guess who Bryce Harper plays for? The Phillies. So all this sports news going around, and it's great. So let's get started here. Opening day got started a little bit early this year. Seattle and Oakland played 2 games in Tokyo to finish off Ichiro Suzuki's career. March 20th and 21st. The games were like 5:35. You were awake for them. I wasn't.
Probably, yeah.
But
probably was.
Like 5:30 start, and it was crazy. And they win both their games against Oakland. Ichiro's final game, he gets sent off in his home country.
As he deserves.
Yeah. I mean, he took a front office role with the Mariners, I believe, to start, and then they signed him again. I was like, what the heck are they doing? I thought Ichiro was done, and I was like,
I don't think he's ever going to be done.
Is he putting on the cleats for another season? I'm not really sure, but Seattle starts off 0-2, and they did start early, but they were considered opening day.
Right now, I personally feel that the Mariners are the best team in baseball right now.
Oh, we're only 3 games in.
I know it is a long season, but as of right now, the Mariners are the best team in baseball. At a 6-1 record, not only did they handily beat the defending world champs in the Boston Red Sox, they are dominating right now. I know it's a long season, but as of right now, in my opinion, the Seattle Mariners are the best team in baseball.
All right, so moving on to the actual opening day, March 28th. Opening day is such a great time of the year, you know, CJ, because
I know. You kept constantly texting me about how it should be a national holiday. I know very well how that day
but,
went.
It's one team's best going up against another team's best. This is the only day of the year where you have the best starting pitcher on the mound for all 30 teams. You have your number one ace on opening day. That only happens on opening day. for all 30 teams. So, getting this started, I want to talk about the Mets and Nationals first, not because they're my favorite team, but because this is an interesting game to talk about. A 2-0 Mets win, and this was nothing short. This was what it was expected to be, a pitcher's duel. Max Scherzer against Jacob deGrom of the Mets. And as you know, last year, Jacob deGrom won the Cy Young, and Max Scherzer got a close second, which Max Scherzer should have won the NL Cy Young. But anyways, it was a, pretty close game all around, kept it close, but it was more the pitchers the entire game. And from the Yankees, Robinson Cano comes to the Mets, and he jacked a home run in the first inning to get things started 1-0, and hits a 1-run single in the 8th inning. So
Your best pitcher, huh? Giving up 2 home runs right there in the first game.
yeah.
Not the best start. Not the best start.
Yeah, but Scherzer did last 7.2 innings, only 2 hits, 2 runs, and 3 walks. But 12 strikeouts, baby. Come on. Opening day Max Scherzer. That's classic Max Scherzer.
But you still didn't win. But that's besides the point. It's a long season ahead.
Yes.
It's a long season ahead.
And, okay, so we dropped the first 2 to the Mets, and everybody on Facebook, Twitter is like, the Nats look the same as they do last year. Are you kidding me, people? Like, seriously.
It's a long season ahead.
These people are thinking the MLB is a 16-game season.
I know, because apparently if it was like that, the Baltimore Orioles are going to be in the World Series soon enough because they're 3-1. They won almost as much as the games that they won last year. Okay?
Oh, my gosh, yes. And, but seriously, it's not a 16-game season. It's a 162-game season. There's a lot of time, and it's too early to be judging in this league. But,
Way too early.
Yeah, way too early. But you've been judging, too. And
It was a joke, though.
Yeah.
That's what we call a joke around here.
Yeah, but another big stat, Trey Turner, 3 stolen bases in the game. 3. And Dave Martinez challenged him to get like 90 steals in a season, and apparently he's on pace for 218.
What?
Trey Turner is a phenomenon on the bases.
But 218 bases stolen. Okay.
Yeah, he's on pace for that, but it's still
Challenge
early.
accepted.
It's still early in the season, but Max Scherzer, 12 strikeouts in that game. It's amazing. On opening day, it was great to watch some of that, and
now your Nats get to play the only undefeated team left in the league now, the Philadelphia Phillies.
I think that's still in a rain delay as we speak.
Yes.
Yes, so it's not on yet. I have it recorded. I'll go back and watch Bryce Harper and everything. They're saying either Max Scherzer is going to strike him out or he will jack one to right field. No, excuse me. Yeah, right field. And
it's one of the fields.
Yeah. But all the seats in right field are sold out at Nationals Park.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why. But currently, as of right now, as we are live on the podcast speaking right now, the Nats are in a rain delay. But anyways, moving right along, the Phillies and the Braves, another NL East battle. The Phillies won that game 10-4, but Bryce Harper
0 for 3.
0 for 3 with only 1 walk.
I think he was booed in the home opener, I believe. Wasn't he
Yes.
booed in his home opener?
He was.
What?
But the game after they won that game as well, he jacked his first home run. And
yeah.
Philly went nuts.
That's
So,
Philly for you.
Yeah.
You can ask my brother.
uh,
He's an Eagles fan.
yeah.
They hate him one week and they love him the next.
Yeah, and he's expecting a baby now.
Yes, I did see
So
that.
congratulations, Bryce Harper. Yeah, and I'll never forget Bryce Harper. My first ever game was the Nationals against the Pirates, and Bryce Harper jacked a home run to center field to win the game, walk off, and that's why I like Bryce Harper, and I do wish him all the best. You know, it wasn't like Kirk Cousins making a big fiasco like oh, yeah, we're going to offer him this much, and then for the Redskins, and, it's going back and forth and everything. No, it's not like that, The Nats offered Harper. He was nice about it, It wasn't like there's all this confusion like Kirk Cousins in the Redskins front office.
There wasn't any hatred towards anybody. He just wanted to find a better deal.
No, yeah, and before this game, there were reports saying the Lerners offered Bryce Harper via an envelope during a rain delay the last homestand of the season. I was like, really? And I heard another report saying that Bryce Harper was offered a higher amount to begin with. But I'm not sure if that was true or not. But anyways, in that Phillies-Braves 10-4 game, Andrew McCutchen, your
the
boy,
old man, yep.
yeah, he scored a hit. So today, as I said earlier, in a rain delay, but it's Scherzer versus Harper. So I'm ready to see that. Moving right along with opening day, the Reds beat the Pirates 5-3.
Yes.
Any thoughts on that?
So it was not the best start, I could tell you that. They fell behind very quickly. And, of course, it was now, I believe it was today or yesterday, that our home opening series started. So we start on the road, and you know how difficult that is to start on the road at the beginning of your season. But nothing too much about my Pirates to go on. We're 1-2. It's a lot different from last year when we were the only undefeated team left.
Yeah, well, your ace did a good job of pitching 6 innings before getting replaced. So, close game there. Next one on the list, the Padres and the Giants. Manny Machado's debut for San Diego. He went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. So, not a good day for the two people, the talk of the offseason for the MLB, Bryce Harper and Manny Machado.
What?
Yeah.
Those are the two most important people to get to. Come on, man. You don't talk about Mike Trout like that? Oh, man.
No, Mike Trout wasn't trying to be traded. He just got signed to an extension.
And they're also 1-4 too, the Angels. They're not looking hot right now.
But still, it's an early season.
It's a long season here, people. That sounds like we keep saying that a lot.
Yeah, but sure. Who is it? Harper and Machado. Yeah, they were the talk of the offseason because it wasn't sure if they were going to stay with the same team or move on. So both not so hot days, but I'm excited to see Manny. I got my tickets booked for April 27th, the Nats and the Padres. So that's going to be interesting to see. Moving right along, the Dodgers.
12 home runs in the first game of the 8 home runs in the first game of the season.
I was like, did I write something down wrong here?
Runs. They scored 12 runs, but they had 8 homers.
Austin Barnes a home run, Cody Bellinger a home run, Enrique Hernandez 2 home runs, Corey Seager 1 home run, Max Muncy 1 home run, and Jock Peterson 2 home runs. Oh, opening day record for the Dodgers and a 12-5 win over the Diamondbacks. And for the Diamondbacks, former Los Angeles pitcher Zach Greinke was on the mound for them.
Man, not bad for the defending NL champs.
And to wrap things up, the Red Sox fall to the Mariners 12-4.
Yeah, and opening day.
Yeah, defending world
World
champions. Not a good way to start, but it's still an early season.
Of course.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good season, I think. A lot of Bryce Harper, Manny Machado in new places. The Phillies still undefeated as of right now, and it's going to be interesting to see what this season holds. And I'm excited to see what Mike Trout brings to the table with this new contract extension.
Yes, of course. I've always been a huge fan of Mike Trout. He's the best player in baseball, no doubt. Bryce Harper might be a great player, but Mike Trout's the best player in baseball.
Yeah, so moving right along here, it's time we got into some bracket talk. And
why'd you pause there?
Yeah, because I
building up the suspense.
Yeah, because it's not really suspense anymore. All our brackets are busted.
Oh, I know.
But I sort of just want to run through the scores that we haven't covered yet. So, you ready? I'm ready. Sweet 16 action. Florida State, the team I picked to go all the way, falls to Gonzaga 72 to 58.
What the hell, man? Why do you do this? I had you go to the national championship. Oh, man. And you lose to Gonzaga.
And number 3, Purdue, 99 over number 2, Tennessee, 94. And boy, let me tell you, Carson Edwards, he is the player you want on your team. Carson Edwards, the key to the game, 29 points, 3 assists, and 4 rebounds. What a game, hands down. Tennessee fights back to make it to overtime, but to Purdue in overtime wins it. And it was crazy. And Tennessee had a buzzer beater to tie it. But what a game that was. And Carson Edwards, I want to ask you, CJ, do you think he can go pro? And he looked really well. What do you think of his performance?
Yeah, of course. He even had just a good of a performance in the next round when they lost, of course, to UVA, I believe it was.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, but of course, he still had even just of a good a performance against UVA, and they lost. And I think, yeah, of course, I wouldn't see him as a top 5 pick, though, because, of course, there's people like Zion, there's people like John Morant, there's people like RJ Barrett, but I absolutely could see him going into the draft, of course.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see this man because he played really well. He fought hard. Moving on, Texas Tech over Michigan, 63 to 44. And boy, let me tell you, Texas Tech is looking red hot.
Where did this Culver kid come from all of a sudden? I had never heard of him until now, and now he is hot fire right now. And Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, are running high, and they're going to face Michigan State now for the Final Four.
Yeah, so up next, Oregon almost defeats number 1 UVA, but UVA pulls it out.
Were you surprised that they almost beat them?
Yeah.
It's UVA.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can't deny a win's a win.
I wanted Oregon to win, but UVA, the second Elite 8 in their last 4 years. So
and this is their first Final Four in over 30 years.
Yes,
that they've actually made it to.
Yes. Number 2 Michigan State over number 3 LSU, 80 to 63.
Yes, I've said this. You know that I've said this before. Ever since the whole issue with Tom Izzo, I've wanted them to go far now. Even though I picked UNC, I've wanted Michigan State to go far now because of people who judge Tom Izzo for the way that he's coached his players. Well, we'll get into it in a sec, but look where they are now, fighting for a national championship.
Yeah, and speaking of UNC, they got upset by Auburn, and I'm telling you, Auburn.
No, they didn't get upsetted. They got their face drubbed into the ground. They lost by 17 points. Oh my God, what a travesty, man.
Yeah, so I think it's great. Auburn is another hot team.
I'm not doubting that. I'm saying, but what a travesty that UNC puts up that type of performance.
I know. It was crazy, and Auburn deserves this. I hope they make it far. Virginia Tech, so close to tying it at the buzzer.
Here
2
in our
weeks
home
in
state, too.
2 weeks in a row, the Duke Blue Devils get lucky as they beat Virginia Tech 75-73 against
How do you miss that?
Yeah.
How do you miss that wide open layup, man? The entire bench, you could just see him jump up in the air and go, oh my God, we almost just shocked the world. We almost just took the Duke Blue Devils to overtime, and it didn't happen.
Oh, yeah. And the last game for the Sweet 16, number 2 Kentucky 62 over number 3 Houston 58.
I was surprised. As you said, I'm not the biggest fan of AAC teams, but they put up a fight. But Kentucky, of course, they still reigned. They still reign, and now they moved on into the Elite Eight, of course.
Yeah, that's awesome. So moving on to the Elite Eight now. Number 3, Texas Tech upsets Gonzaga, and I'm telling you, this team's red hot, and they're carrying it. It's crazy, and I think we have breaking news here that Max Scherzer struck out Bryce Harper as the game is now playing. Just want to point that out, but as we are talking right now, Max Scherzer struck out Bryce Harper. Can't wait to see that on the recording, but back to basketball here. Gonzaga, were you expecting this?
Yes, I was. They didn't even win their conference. They lost to a team, St. Mary's. They lost to St. Mary's, who got placed as a number 11 seed, apparently, in the bracket. And Gonzaga gets a number 1 seed in their section of the bracket. I was not seeing them go to the national championship by far. And with the way that they played against Florida State, I was like, oh my God, Gonzaga could be the real deal. But no, they were not. And they got upset by Texas Tech, who has come out of nowhere and absolutely stunning play. I never trusted Gonzaga because, like I said, they were in a weak conference and they lost to St. Mary's for the title game in their conference, but they still got a number 1 seed in their part of the bracket. I never trusted them whatsoever.
All right, yeah, good insight there. But they're Texas Tech, they're getting hot at the right time in this point in the tournament.
Oh yeah, and they're going to face Michigan State, who is still red hot.
Oh yeah,
no question about that.
That is going to be a great game. Mark my words.
That is going to be a good Final Four that I can get behind.
Yeah, like you said on Twitter, and yeah, UVA. Beat Purdue 80-75, and you know that buzzer beater, they missed it. But the talk of the game, Carson Edwards, 42 points.
That's what I'm saying.
42 points.
What else can he do?
14 for 25 field goal, 10 for 19 3-point range with 2 rebounds. I'm telling you, how come they didn't win this game?
I don't know. I guess it was just a real team effort by Virginia then, who basically pulled it together. But Purdue, what a showing in the tournament. And it's a shame that it had to end this way. 5 points to the Cavaliers.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Carson Edwards.
You want to say it's a team game, but individuals can show up like this. And it's crazy. You have to work as a team if you want to beat another team. You have to.
Yeah, and Carson Edwards, I just can't but feel sorry for him because it's crazy. And number 5, Auburn, beat number 2, Kentucky. Another upset.
Well, I think it had to do with what happened to you in the UNC game with Chuma Okeke going down with the ACL injury and basically having a person that could give him motivation to say, hey, we're going to win this thing for you because you got us this far and we're not going down. And then they beat the Wildcats by 6 points, and that was a great game to see.
Yes, it was. And another great game to see Michigan State over Duke.
That was
down
a great
to
game.
1
that was
point.
A fantastic game.
Yeah,
to see.
that was probably the best game of the tournament, hands down.
No question. Duke, you got what you deserve because for the past 2 games against UCF and against Virginia Tech, you've won by a total combined 3 points against both those teams. And how did Michigan State beat you? By 1 point. They beat you by 1 point because they knocked down the 3. And RJ Barrett, you missed the free throw, man. You missed the free throw, and now you're probably not going to set foot in Duke again and go to the NBA draft. But Michigan State, what I tell you though, Josh, I want Michigan State to win the whole thing. I do. Because I want people to realize this is how you coach. This is how you coach.
Yes, sir.
There is a story on the kid that was yelled at. There was a story on the kid, and he said that at the beginning of the season, Tom Izzo, he made us write down on a card what our dream is and what our goals are for this season. And his goal was to reach a Final Four. Well, now he's going to have a chance to play for a Final Four. And the only thing that Tom Izzo said in the interview was that my job is to try and help them attain that goal. But I can't do it by myself. They have to be the ones who have to put the effort in. And guess what? They're going to play for the Final Four. So for all you people calling them out on Twitter, you can eat it. You can. Because now they are going to play for the Final Four.
Yeah. And Zion Williamson, a high of 24 points in that game. But
he was phenomenal. Yeah. No question. But once again, it's a team sport.
Now, CJ, Is this the year Zion goes into the NBA draft and gets
question.
drafted?
Yeah, there's no question.
High draft pick?
Number 1 overall.
All right.
Number 1 overall.
Wow. Well, you heard it from CJ. All right, so
he's just too good of a talent to not take in the NBA draft.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So the Final Four is set. Number 1 UVA facing number 5 Auburn and number 3 Texas Tech against number 2 Michigan State. Two very great matchups. So, CJ, your predictions, who's going to be in the national championship? Not a national championship winner, but who's going to be in the national championship?
Michigan State, Auburn.
As I'm writing this down on the pad of
Michigan State,
paper.
Auburn, I'm going with. I think that UVA has gotten really kind of lucky in the past couple of games, only winning by a combined 9 points in the past 2 games. And Auburn is playing lights out right now. They really are. In Michigan State, as I said, I want them to win the whole thing because of their coach.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. I'm picking Michigan State and Auburn as well because UVA, I don't think they're going to make it. And Texas Tech, I think Michigan State's more red hot than Texas Tech in this point. But it's going to be interesting to watch the Final Four, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Any last thoughts on March Madness for you? It's been really fun, and I'm really looking forward to this Final Four action.
Yeah, I'm just glad that the tournament has not ended up in, here's Duke in the national championship again. There's UNC, even though I did pick UNC. I'm glad it's a Final Four that I can actually enjoy, and I don't have to care as much about the teams who are in it, and I can actually enjoy it this weekend.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as we're moving on here, I have a question for you. What the heck are the Bears doing trading away their running back, Jordan Howard?
I asked my dad.
Are you kidding me? Jordan Howard to the Eagles? I mean, in my opinion, it feels like the Eagles are getting blessed with new players, you know? They've got...
That's 2 big trades that they've received
I know.
now for Deshaun Jackson and now Jordan
Deshaun
Howard.
Jackson ain't the same, CJ. Come on now.
Okay, well, when he burns your safety and Josh Norman for a huge touchdown, you'll be saying that. Oh, I had to say that to CJ. But anyway, it's not the fact that the Bears just traded him away. It's the fact that they gave him up for a 6th-round draft pick, man. It's the fact that you gave him up for nothing. You gave him up for something that a Tom Brady. You gave him up for a Tom Brady, but how many times does that come in a lifetime? Once. You gave him up for the most consistent running back that you have had in the past 5 years. 5 years. The most previous consistent running back that you have had was Matt Forte. Matt Forte back in 2012, 2011, that was your most consistent running back. And Jordan Howard, in 3 seasons as their running back, 3,300 rushing yards. 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Last year, he had 952. Of course, he was splitting time with Tariq Cohen, but you traded away your power back, and you traded away a guy who was there for your future. He was a 5th-round draft pick out of Indiana, and not only that, he came into the league, and he was a stud. He competed for the starting running back position, and now you traded him away for a 6th-round draft pick. What is wrong with you, Chicago?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. You know, they make it to the playoffs last year.
Exactly.
Losing in the wild card, but you go on and trade away Jordan Howard?
This is the first...
Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen were a great matchup, a great duo.
Having them both on the field was a mismatch. Having them on the field at the same time was a great strategy by Matt Nagy. This was the first time in 8 years that you won the NFC North and you traded away your most precious running back. And people will say, well, we still got Tariq Cohen. What's he going to... He is not a 3-down back. He is not a guy who is going to be able to pound for 4 yards every run. He isn't. He's a speed back. He's a Darren Sproles. I can't believe this. Now you pair Jordan Howard with Darren Sproles, Corey Clement, in that offensive line in Philly. Oh, my God. You know Jordan Howard is just loving it right now in Philly. And he's got a quarterback that is 10 times better than Mitchell Trubisky, who was almost an MVP, who can run the RPO better than Trubisky can. This is a pickup that the Eagles are smiling about. And the Bears, what are you doing?
The Eagles definitely won this trade.
Absolutely. There's no question. You only had to give up a 6th-round draft pick. It's terrible, man. Like I said, it's not the fact that you trade him away. Trades happen. But you traded him for a 6th-round draft pick. That's asinine. That is unreal. And you only signed him for $2 million. The Bears only gave him a 4-year, $2.5 million contract. What cap space is there for that? To keep him one more year. But you couldn't do that? It's ridiculous, Josh. Absolutely is. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I cannot believe it either. I'm not sure why they did it.
And now you got to face him twice a year. Now your Redskins have to face him twice a year.
Hey, thanks for that, CJ.
With that fantastic defense that
Thank
you guys
CJ.
have.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But
No problem. I'm here all week.
very funny. Moving on, you wanted to talk about Brandon Marshall. I heard nothing that he got it traded.
So he was not traded. He was actually signed by Oakland, though.
Ooh.
And this is interesting, too, because they just signed Vontaze Burfict last week. And they also might draft a linebacker in the draft. It's not on my mock draft, but they almost might go for a linebacker, of course. And this is kind of strange, too, because this is a guy who was a part of the Broncos defense back in 2015, who won the Super Bowl, was the anchor of that defense. No question. Him and Danny Trevathan were great together. And after these past couple of seasons, the Broncos just release him. And I know last year he had a nagging injury, but now that he's going to Oakland, this Oakland defense is looking kind of good now with the couple of these pickups. They really are. But that's all about Brandon Marshall. It's just a significant pickup that the Oakland Raiders have signed him to.
All right. So, moving on, you wanted to do a mock draft, the first 5 before our big draft special.
So, yes, here in a couple of weeks, this is going to be a special edition once again here, people. We're actually going to be bringing on a football coach from up around here. His name's Coach Vigna. And then, of course, my dad has another friend that will be joining us, Mr. Rigney, and he will be joining us on the show as well.
You really broke the news right there. I didn't even know that.
Well, I'm glad I broke it now. But still, we're going to be having a nice long special that day, getting ready for the NFL draft, one of the best times of the year for sports.
All right, I'm going to have to figure that one out.
I told you. But we'll be prepared, and we'll have some new hardware coming for that episode as well. So I wanted to do a top 5 draft because we got to take a look ahead at some of these players. A lot of these players, this could be a very interesting draft, especially in the top 5. With the talk of Kyler Murray, with the talk of Nick Bosa, with the talk of a lot of these players, this is going to be very interesting because the Cardinals just drafted a quarterback last year in the first round, Josh Rosen. And now Cliff Kingsbury, who once cell phone breaks, he might draft another quarterback this year after just drafting one last year.
Yeah, they're bought in. They want Kyler Murray. He's not going to start right away, but he's going number 1 in my mock draft apparently. But
not me. I'm thinking that they go Nick Bosa here.
Ooh.
Because they need I don't know. You might be right. They might be the new Cleveland Browns with this type of logic. Oh, let's pick another quarterback here in this draft. But I'm thinking that they need to go Nick Bosa because they need some more defensive players because I think they just need to develop Josh Rosen and get him ready because he was thrown into a system last year under Steve Wilkes and he didn't have the best coach to basically guide him through a season. Yeah. And so I'm going Nick Bosa for the first pick out of Ohio State.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be Kyler Murray.
There's no question he's the best quarterback in the draft. There's no question. In my opinion, he is. Now, here's where it gets interesting for me. Number 2, the Oakland Raiders. That's where I think they're going to draft Kyler Murray.
Number 2 is the 49ers, aren't they?
I believe it was the Oakland Raiders Or is it the 49? If it's the 49ers, they are not going for him.
Hold on. Let me make sure, just in case I made a mistake. NFL draft order. If I mess this up, oh my gosh. I mean, I did all this research, and if I mess this one up, I apologize, CJ. You can punch me in the face. Oh my gosh. The draft order. Yeah, number 2, the 49ers.
Oh, well, excuse me then. I thought it was the Oakland Raiders. Well, then for number 2, I'm going another defensive player, and I'm going Quinn Williams because they don't need a quarterback.
Apparently, the Raiders are number 4. The Niners, the Jets, and the Raiders are all 4 and 12.
Okay.
So,
well, here's the thing for me is that I believe that the 49ers will go Quinn Williams. They need another defensive player as well because they don't need a quarterback. They have Jimmy Garoppolo, who was Tom Brady's backup for 3 or 4 years, of course. And I think they'll take the defensive tackle out of Alabama, Quinn Williams, who's a very strong defensive tackle, quick off the line. And they need somebody to anchor the defense because that defense is very young. And they need somebody who at least could be a top draft pick for them. Now that they signed Dee Ford, now that they signed Quan Alexander from the Buccaneers, they need somebody to anchor the defensive line, and I think he's the perfect fit for him.
yeah. Yeah, so my top 2, because I'm still researching 3 through 5, because, I got to do some research, because, my brain isn't fresh on all the sports topics. I know a lot, but I'm not saying I'm perfect. So my 1 and 2, I'm saying Kyler Murray to the Cardinals, because they're bought in, and the Cardinals, I don't really know what they're doing, and they're still going to pick a quarterback, I think. If Nick Bosa goes number 1, I won't be surprised because I agree with what you said. The Cardinals need somebody on defense too. And number 2, the 49ers, I'm thinking Nick Bosa because their defense needs to get bolstered up. He's a great pass rusher, and he's the brother of Joey Bosa. They both went to Ohio State, and it's going to be crazy. His 40-yard dash was a 4.79. And if he can stay healthy, I expect great things from Nick Bosa.
That is the only question, though, because, of course, he sat out most of the past season at
with
Ohio
a
State.
core muscle injury.
Yes. So, and I think that was his decision more than anything to stay out and prepare for the draft, which I, of course, don't like, but that's just me. And then number 3, we have the New York Jets. Correct?
Yes. Wait, let me just make sure. I believe it was the New York Jets. Yes, the Jets, number 3.
So for the New York Jets, I believe that they once again will go defense with Josh Allen, who is the outside linebacker / defensive end for Kentucky this past season. And his performance was on display against Penn State in the Citrus Bowl. And let me tell you something, this guy was unreal to watch against Penn State. Not only was he unblockable, well, when I was coming home from work that day, every single freaking play, all I heard was Josh Allen just made those 2 offensive linemen look like a fool. And not only just that, this is a big defensive end. And the Jets need to keep bolstering their defense. They need to. They need to get more players because veteran players can only do so much. You need to get some young blood in there. You need to. And I think that this is a great pickup. I believe he'll go to the Jets here.
Yeah, and number 4 is the Oakland Raiders now.
Gotcha. And this is where I think Kyler Murray will go. I know it sounds strange, and I know that it's people will say, but they have Derek Carr. And that's where I'm going to say, look, people, the thing that really gets me here is that you don't want to pass up on a guy like Kyler Murray as of right now because who knows, Derek Carr doesn't have a backup quarterback that can basically take over for him. And if Derek Carr gets to his struggling self like he did last year, who knows, Kyler Murray might actually get a chance to play in the NFL, and he may never look back after that. And I think that's why they might draft Kyler Murray because he is the best quarterback in the draft. But as Josh said, he might just go number 1 overall, and we might have a quarterback controversy over in Arizona. But I'm still picking that he will go number 4 overall.
Number 5, Tampa Bay.
Yes. So I am thinking, once again, defense. Wow, go figure. Yes, I believe that the Buccaneers will draft Devin White out of LSU. With the release of Quan Alexander going to the 49ers, they are in desperate need of a middle linebacker. And also, their new head coach, Bruce Arians, I believe that he will be able to see the film on Devin White because
He's
Devin
back.
White, yeah, he's back. And Devin White had a hell of a performance at the Combine, and he was also the best linebacker in the SEC, of course, playing against some of the top-tier talent in college football. And I do believe that Devin White will be the number 5th overall pick going to Tampa Bay.
All right.
So that's my mock draft for top 5 as of right now.
That's a lot of great insight, but I want to do a scenario here. The number 5 pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If Bruce Arians was smart and Kyler Murray was still on the board, I'd have Kyler Murray to the Buccaneers and get rid of Jameis Winston.
That would be that would actually be a great move. The only thing, like we said though, is he still going to be available?
If he is. That's why I
available.
mentioned it, because Jameis Winston, what's he going to do for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers anymore?
I don't know because last year was a very, very poor season for him and Ryan Fitzpatrick. It was back and forth of switching of quarterbacks. And if Kyler Murray is still on the table, I would not be surprised if Tampa Bay took him because Bruce Arians could get through to him and turn him into a good quarterback. Because Bruce Arians, here's the thing about Kyler Murray is that Kyler Murray is not a running quarterback. He's a extending play quarterback. He's a guy who can make you miss, but he always looks downfield. He's always reading down the field. And what Bruce Arians loves to do, he loves to pass the ball because he was Pittsburgh's offensive coordinator for years with Ben Roethlisberger, and he took Big Ben to new heights. I wouldn't be surprised if they took Kyler Murray if he was still on the table.
Yeah, so that's the mock draft. We'll have a more in-depth look. The draft special coming here real soon. I can't wait for that. We got to get together, do some more research together. But the next topic in the world of football, a very sad day. The AAF announced that they are suspending play. They're suspending. They're in fear of folding in the first season. It's been 2 months, invested all this money into the league, and the only good thing that comes out of it is Johnny Manziel won't get to play. Bye-bye, Johnny.
I still remember the show that we did the podcast of saying, the AAF looks like a good idea. It really does. And now it just seems like it's shocking to me. It really is. Because Dundon basically put $250 million into this new league. And to see now, as of today, that because about a week ago, they said that they might consider falling under, but now it's official today that they are suspending all operations, which is very unfortunate. And I even had in my notes that it was not going to go under because of the amount of money that Tom Dundon was putting in as well. But people want to ask, what's the issue then? Well, the issue has to deal with the NFL because they see the NFL as an opportunity to basically be a developmental league. But the problem is that the NFL Players Association does not want to see that because the big concern for the Players Association is that if an NFL player played in the AAF then suffer an injury, that player would face the risk of missing an NFL season and lose a year of experience, which carries financial ramifications. And there's so much stuff that's going on. But the Players Association is being basically a pain in the ass because they don't want to basically be together with the AAF. They don't want to consider them. And I kind of do agree to an extent, but I also don't and say, how are players going to get an opportunity other than the Canadian Football League? Because not a lot of players come from the Canadian Football League to the NFL. They don't. And the AAF is the Alliance of American Football. So you're getting an opportunity here in the United States to play at a little bit lower standing, of course. But it's going to be sad because, of course, my favorite team is Orlando, because 2 JMU players play for him, of course. And now, as of today, well, they're probably heading back home because the operations are canceled right now.
Yeah.
And so they can't do anything. And it's really unfortunate everything that's happened.
It's very crazy. And I think it just had to do with low viewership because there's March Madness and other stuff going on. Baseball started, and like.
I just told you why they're folding, though.
Yeah.
It's not due to viewership.
I feel like that's part of the reason, though, in my opinion.
It may be a small part, but that is not the major reason why they are folding.
Really? No, but I still think it's a small part, They might not say it, but still, in my opinion. So, it's just really terrible. I wanted them to succeed more than the XFL.
Yeah, because you don't want to see Vince McMahon again.
Well, no, the XFL was just. I mean, seriously, WWE and football, like, I'm not sure, but that was based. Former players were executive. Hines Ward and Troy Polamalu, and
really
now they're out of a job, probably.
They're not out of money, though. they have enough savings to keep them alive.
Yep. So, that's the AAF. So we'll keep you informed, but I'm not really sure what to think of it anymore. But hopefully there will be a miracle. But you never know. Kristaps Porzingis. Oh,
butchered that one.
Yeah, I tried just sliding into that next topic in that field, but anyways, Porzingis, he gets accused of sexual assault.
We got another one, Josh.
Yes, we have another one.
We have another one.
Well,
the thing is like, are we gonna have another case where the woman was lying? Because as of right now, it sounds like she was, because she's trying to mediate with the New York Knicks
in private
to get $68,000. This is a very short topic, but the fact that she is stating that this happened on the night of his ACL injury, which happened over a year ago, and now she is saying that she went to Porzingis' apartment, and apparently she said that Porzingis has agreed to co-sign a statement with her that has promised $68,000. And Porzingis said, "What the hell are you talking about? I have no idea what that is. What do you mean?" And she also says that she just went there for an autograph at the hours of 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if she was expecting just an autograph at that late at night. I really don't think so. The thing is, it's like, if you're expecting an autograph that late at night after he tears his ACL, if I was to be waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning after I tore my ACL, I might punch someone. I really might, because not only that, but this story makes no sense, because especially with the reports that she has given to people, I really think that this is a joke of something that's happening to such a swell guy, because players have come out and said, I can't believe that this is being said about Porzingis, because I know Porzingis, and he's not that type of guy. And thankfully, he's out of New York, because he was with a bad franchise, with the Knicks, of course. And now he's in Dallas, who is a struggling franchise now, of course. And it's really unfortunate for a guy like Porzingis, who isn't from America. He's not from here. He's a foreigner. But this is just really unfortunate. And I hope that I hope this whole thing gets solved and the charges will most likely be dropped with the types of things that are going on from this woman.
Yeah. So, Kristaps, it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting to see there. But seriously, an autograph at 1 in the morning.
That's what she said at the late hours of the night.
Okay, hold up. First off, did she know Kristaps?
Apparently, yes, I believe. I forget the report. Yes, I do believe that she said that she was friends with Kristaps or something like that.
Well, how the heck can I get to an athlete's house to get his autograph at 1 in the morning because I want an autograph.
Yeah, let's go at 1 o'clock in the morning after a pitcher breaks his arm. Let's see how that works out.
Yeah, but that's about all the time we have, unfortunately. Another episode wrapped up. Any last thoughts, CJ?
Nope, it was a good one.
Yeah, my last thoughts. I really do think the AAF deserves a lot more. I hope they can get funding or something somehow. I'm not really sure how it works, but I hope something will change because all those players are out of a job now.
And all the staff, of course, for all the franchises is really unfortunate.
And Steve Spurrier is just, I don't know.
Oh, no, Steve Spurrier, only him, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, that's going to do it for CJ and I. Don't forget, our podcast is on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you check us out, the Mayo Please Podcast Network. Yes, we are part of a great network called the Mayo Please Podcast Network. Make sure you find them on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, the Mayo Please. Make sure you find us on YouTube, the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast, Facebook at Kirby on Sports Podcast, Twitter at Kirby on Sports, Instagram at Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast. And folks, our email's been dry. Come on now, send us questions. We love to answer your questions and everything. Anything and everything. Nothing rude or negative, though. But come on, send us questions to kirbyonsports@gmail.com. So that's about all the time we have. Thank you once again to Route 11 for sponsoring this episode of the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast, along with Dave Johnson for our intro, and Mild Swagger, Cosmo, PremiumBeat.com for the music. As always, once again, we are part of the Mayo Please Podcast Network. Make sure you check them out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Till next week, we say so long and peace out.